How could he say something like that? Cancel Matt Rife. Bitch, you can't cancel me. I'm not your gym membership.
Matt Rife. I've got a feeling most people have probably at least seen this guy before. He's a stand-up comedian who, if you didn't know, has been doing this since he was a teenager. It's been about 12 years to be exact. But even though he'd been doing this as a career for so long, he'd only seen, I guess, a moderate amount of success in all this time, at least compared to now. I mean, people knew him, but nowhere near the capacity that it is these days. In the last, like, year or two, with the help of TikTok and other short-form video platforms, Matt Rife has absolutely skyrocketed in popularity, gaining over 18 million followers on TikTok. He's also got 6 million plus followers on Instagram, and he's closing in at around 2 million over here on YouTube. It's safe to say that he's made a pretty good name for himself up to this point. I have laughed at his stuff for sure. I think the crowd work that he manages to do and pull off is genuinely some of the best that I've seen, especially on TikTok.
He's still fucking his baby mama.
Well, that's loyalty. It sounds like if he's fucking anybody, he should be the mother of his child, no? He's still in his house with his wife and his baby.
But for me, personally, that's where his comedy really shines. The crowd work. When it comes down to telling actual original jokes, that's where Matt Rife starts to fall off a little bit for me. But overall, seems like a pretty funny dude. But I'm not here to just tell you that I think Matt Rife is a pretty funny dude. If there wasn't more to this story, I wouldn't be making this video right now. So what happened? Well, to fully put it all into context, I've got to explain a little bit more about the guy. As you can probably guess by the way he looks, I think it's a commonly known fact that Matt Rife's fan base is made up primarily of women. And he knows this. In fact, he's gone on multiple podcasts saying that at his shows, he's noticed that a lot of the time his crowds are couples in which the woman has convinced the boyfriend or husband to come and see Matt Rife, mainly because they thought he was attractive. But by the end of the show, the guy is normally the one more into it than the woman.
No, I love it because like the women will come to the show so passionately. And by the way, this has changed a lot.
Yeah.
Up until like April this year, it was like 90% women coming to these shows, which weren't always for the right reasons. And they got there, and maybe they didn't like my comedy, and they go, well, maybe I wasn't a fan for the right reason, which is fine. So they bring their boyfriends or husbands who are always reluctant because they fucking probably bought the tickets.
Right.
They didn't want to be there. And then like 20 minutes into the show, they realize like my comedy is so much more for guys than it is girls.
And you can tell in these interviews that it seems to bother Matt, at least a little bit, that his fan base is like this. I don't think that he likes that most people know him from TikTok either. He went on Jimmy Fallon and he said that he absolutely hates social media.
All of these things just weren't adding up, but after a certain point you go, am I delusional? Like maybe I'm not funny. Maybe I'm not supposed to do this. And then just one random video kind of changed everything.
Yeah, it was a TikTok video.
Yeah, I reluctantly started posting on TikTok beginning of last year. I've always hated social media. I think it's so negative and it just stresses me out.
I guess to him, he kind of feels like people only know him and want to watch him because of the way he looks and not his comedy. He's actually gone on the record saying that his looks are actually more of a detriment to his career than an advantage.
I'm good looking. I don't like it any more than you guys do, okay? This is not good for comedy, okay?
That people don't want to laugh.
But like physically attractive people.
Which I don't really agree with. I feel like people buying tickets to see you just because you're hot is probably a huge advantage. Cause sure, maybe they're not laughing as much as you would like them to. They still gave you money to be there. That's also the reason I don't understand why he cares so much about having a primarily female audience. Like, you've got an audience, a massive one. Why does it matter, the gender? But all of these clips have been circulating over the past couple of months. It wasn't until very recently that people started trying to cancel Matt Rife. On November 15th, 2023, Matt Rife released his Netflix special. Why is that so bad? Well, within hours of its release, people started talking about it. The main consensus, God, I could barely say that word, among most of the reviews that I had seen, were that it was, quite underwhelming. People expected it to be a lot funnier because it was Matt Rife. Now, I went and watched it for myself. It's about an hour long, and, yeah, it's not the best Netflix special.
Those are always the scariest ones, just showing up in your hallways and shit. Come play with us. And he's finally like, why am I like this? I'm just there like, cause daddy's funny.
I grinned and smiled at a couple of the jokes. I just feel like I had heard a lot of the material other places on the internet, not from Matt Rife. So, it is what it is. That's just my opinion, though. Judge it for yourself. Go watch it. It's on Netflix. I'm not gonna shove a bunch of clips in this video, because I feel like that would be a copyright nightmare. But other than the special not really being what everyone was hoping for, people got especially mad at his opening joke. You see, right as he got on stage, he looked into the audience in pure terror and saw how many people were there, which is funny. I'm sure he already knew how many people were out there, but this is the face of stress if I've ever seen it. But I'm sure he was pretty excited to do this. Matt Rife, primarily female audience, finally got a Netflix show of his own. Matt decided to open the show with none other than a joke about domestic violence.
I've only been to Baltimore one time. I ate lunch there, and the hostess who, like, seats you at the restaurant had a black eye. And it wasn't like, what happened? It was pretty obvious what happened.
And honestly, I just don't think the joke sat right with a lot of people. I am someone that genuinely believes that when it comes to comedy, you can and should say whatever you want. I just think the darker the subject, the harder your joke has to hit. Like, a joke can be as dark as you want. You can talk about anything, really. But the punchline should always outweigh how dark the joke is. You know what I mean? Or else it's not really funny. I mean, to a select group of people, it probably is, but... And yes, when you make dark, edgy jokes, there will always be people out there that get offended and feel uncomfortable with them. But at the end of the day, it is a joke, realistically. I get it, but I feel like just in this context, it might be a little different. Some seem to be looking at this joke as his way of almost flipping his audience from female to male by making jokes that a majority of women probably wouldn't find that funny. And I feel like he's kind of done exactly that. Most of the videos that I've seen talking about this have come from women, at least the ones that are against him. A lot of men are on his side or have become fans of him because of this, which is interesting, I guess. But the people that are against him now are trying to pull up really anything they can from his past to shatter his image a bit. Some people have started looking back at some of those past interviews that he's done, but now, instead of looking at him as, you know, super hot and dreamy, I think they're looking at it with a different perspective, and now they're starting to see him as more arrogant and cocky, pulling up clips of him talking about how brutal it is to be so good-looking in his line of work.
Because I was asking people to ask you questions, and everyone's like, have him talk about his glow up.
It's brutal.
I don't know for sure if these accusations were coming out before all of this, because I wasn't really looking into it, but ever since this has started, I keep seeing accusations of people saying that he's had plastic surgery done even.
If I was Matt Rife with a mostly female audience, I would be comparing myself to the Kardashians because both our careers took off after we got plastic surgery.
Which is something that he heavily denies, by the way.
But it's so fucking funny to me. Like, it's people's #1, like, online insult is like, well, at least I don't have plastic surgery. It's like, cool, neither do I.
Yeah.
I've had people who claim to be actual plastic surgeons and be like, oh no, he's had this filler, he's had all this. I'm like, cool.
That's nice.
So you're not only lying, but you're wrong at your job.
So they're mad at him, and they're attacking him at all angles. They've gone back years to when he was on a show called Wild 'N Out. In the clip, he's trying to make Zendaya laugh, and one of the methods he uses is grabbing her face, which is very questionable, but he was probably just trying to act on the spot and did it in the worst way imaginable. And then everyone just gets up and makes him step back. People are now using this clip to be like, oh, we should have known that he was weird all along. He did do something of similar weirdness to Doja Cat on the same show. Not at the same time, I don't think. I think it was a different episode, but...
Doja, I heard you date white dudes. So the longer you keep that water in your mouth, the more clothes I'm gonna take off.
Maybe he's just a weird dude, honestly. But at this point, I feel like people are reaching for genuinely anything to try and bring him down. But in all honesty, this has probably brought him more publicity than he could have ever imagined. So you're probably wondering, what was Matt's response to all of this backlash? Well, his response had some mixed responses itself. He went on his Instagram story saying, if you've ever been offended by a joke I've told, here's a link to my official apology. And when you click on the link, it sends you to a website selling special needs helmets. So, you can see how that may have upset people. Genuinely though, what do you expect? He's a comedian. I do think he needs to work on his actual stand-up material a little bit. Not like I'm extremely funny or anything. I can already see the comments coming in telling me that I'm jealous of Matt Rife. And if you made it to this point in the video, maybe, hit that sub button. We've been growing at a really crazy pace the last couple of months, and I just couldn't be more grateful to all you guys. We've also got the join button if you feel like supporting the channel even further, but it's not necessary, I promise. And, yeah.
But I'm also so thankful for having a female fan base because nobody supports harder than female fan bases.
Absolutely.
Like if they believe in you, like they will help push
They'll
you.
kill for you.
Yeah, and I love that. But they also turn on you faster than anybody else. So that's kind of the